The Architecture of Transgression, a theological examination of the seven deadly sins. Introduction. The concept of the seven deadly sins, historically termed the capital vices or cardinal sins, serves as a profound psychological and theological framework for understanding the fragmentation of the human soul. Originating from the Desert Fathers, specifically Evagrius Ponticus, and later refined by Pope Gregory I and Thomas Aquinas, these categories are not merely a list of prohibited actions. Rather, they represent the caput or heads of all subsequent moral failings. They are the fountainheads from which a multitude of smaller transgressions flow. To preach upon these sins is to engage in a spiritual diagnostic, identifying the deep-seated disordered loves that pull the human person away from their ultimate end in the divine. Pride, the root of all malice. Pride is universally recognized by theologians as the primordial sin, the vice from which all others germinate. It is the spiritual hubris that seeks to displace God with the self. In the Garden of Eden, the temptation was not merely to eat a fruit, but to be like God. Pride blinds the individual to their creaturely status and their radical dependence on grace. It is the ultimate illusion of self-sufficiency. In a contemporary context, pride manifests as the refusal to submit to truth or authority, prioritizing personal will over objective moral order. The remedy for pride is humility, the honest recognition of one's place in the cosmos and the acceptance of one's limitations before the infinite. 2. Envy, the rot of the soul. If pride is the desire to be superior, envy is the sorrow felt at the excellence or good fortune of another. It is unique among the sins because it offers no even fleeting pleasure. It is purely corrosive. Envy views the world as a zero-sum game, where a neighbor's success is perceived as a personal loss. It diminishes the communal bond and fosters resentment. To combat envy, one must cultivate the virtue of kindness and gratitude, recognizing that all gifts are distributed by divine providence for the common good, not as a measure of individual worth. 3. Wrath, the distortion of justice. Wrath is the disordered desire for vengeance. While righteous indignation exists as a response to injustice, wrath is characterized by a loss of reason and self-control. It seeks to destroy rather than to restore. When anger becomes a deadly sin, it settles into the heart as a dark ambition to inflict pain. It shatters the image of God in both the perpetrator and the victim. The path to overcoming wrath is through patience and long-suffering, imitating the divine mercy that seeks the reconciliation of the sinner rather than their annihilation. For sloth, the noonday devil. Sloth is often misunderstood as simple physical laziness. In the classical tradition, acedia is a spiritual apathy, a boredom with the things of God. It is the refusal to exert the effort required to maintain a relationship with the divine. It is a sorrow regarding spiritual good. In an age of constant distraction, sloth manifests as a frantic busyness in trivialities to avoid the weight of eternal responsibilities. The antidote to sloth is diligence and a renewed commitment to the discipline of prayer and duty. The avarice, the illusion of security. Avarice or greed is the immoderate desire for earthly possessions. It is a sin of displacement where the heart seeks the infinite satisfaction that only God can provide in finite material things. Greed creates a false sense of security, leading the individual to trust in wealth rather than providence. It inevitably leads to the exploitation of others and the neglect of the poor. The virtue of generosity and the practice of almsgiving serve to break the shackles of materialism, reorienting the soul toward eternal treasures. Gluttony, the betrayal of the body. Gluttony is the disordered love of the pleasure associated with food and drink. It is not an indictment of nourishment but an obsession with consumption that ignores the needs of the soul and the body's role as a temple. Whether through excess, daintiness, or overeagerness, gluttony reduces the human person to their biological impulses. Temperance and fasting are the traditional remedies, teaching the soul that man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. Lust, the depersonalization of desire. Lust is the disordered desire for sexual pleasure, detached from its procreative and unitive purposes within the covenant of marriage. It treats the other not as a person to be loved but as an object to be used. It is a profound failure of the imagination and the heart, substituting a fleeting physical sensation for the enduring beauty of sacrificial love. Chastity is the virtue that integrates sexuality into the whole person, ensuring that desire serves the dignity of the human person and the sanctity of the body. Conclusion. The study of the seven deadly sins is not intended to lead to despair, but to a profound metanoia, a change of mind and heart. These vices represent the old man that must be put off, so that the new man may be put on. By identifying these patterns of disorder, we are better equipped to cooperate with the Holy Spirit in the work of sanctification. The ultimate goal of life is not merely the avoidance of vice, but the perfection of charity. In the light of grace, these shadows are dispelled, allowing the soul to ascend toward its true home, where love is ordered, peace is eternal, and the self is finally found in the embrace of the Creator.